Hey, good evening, Ohio Valley. I hope you guys are having a great weekend. We're having the potential for some severe weather. An immediate emergency has now moved out of Belmont County into Ohio and Marshall County. So we're looking at a tornado-warned cell. We've seen some rotation, and now we're seeing a really strong anvil being produced. So the top of the thunderstorm already showing signs of miles per hour, right around 41 miles per hour sustained wind speed. So that means we could see a gust easily up to 70 miles per hour. So 60 to 70 mile per hour wind speeds. Straight line wind damage is the primary concern for the current time being. We already noticed some grapple and some small hail. So I'm going to jump off camera. We're going to dive into a street view. This warning is until 4 p.m. for Ohio and Marshall counties. This is the northern portion of the panhandle of West Virginia. If you guys live in Ohio, eastern Ohio, northern West Virginia, or western Pennsylvania, this is just west of Ohio. Just west of Washington, Pennsylvania. So that's going to move into Washington, Pennsylvania here in the next few minutes. So here's a street look. We're going to drop the time lapse, and we're going to look at a street view right now. All right, so it's moving just west of Dallas. It's going to move into Dallas over the next few minutes here. Okay, so looking towards West Findlay right now, Sand Hill, it's currently sitting over Cedar Rocks. If you guys live just south of Elm Grove, Triadelphia, you're probably noticing this damaging potential for wind speed right around 43 miles per hour brewing to Cedar Rocks, and it's moving easterly. So here's how it looks on a street view. We're talking about Cedar Rocks, Sand Hill, seek shelter immediately in twilight. Dallas Pike, if you guys are in Elm Grove, you're really feeling that heavy rain or even grapple coming down. Like I said, I was on the way here just along I-70. We're in downtown Wheeling, and I saw some grapple and some small hail just along I-70, and that's not even in the center of the storm. Okay, so here's a timed out look when you guys can expect to see this in your region. We're just going to draw out that leading edge for you. Okay, if you live in West Findlay, East Findlay, or Waynesburg, 3:49 p.m., 3:56 p.m., and 4:13 p.m. Seek shelter immediately, West Findlay, East Findlay, Waynesburg. We're going to jump back down to a street view, and then we're going to check out some rotation here. So really quick, jumping out just to show everybody where we're at on the map. We're talking about Ohio, Marshall County, moving into now Washington County, Pennsylvania, northern portion of West Virginia. When we dive in on a street view, we're talking about Cedar Rocks, currently sitting centered over Cedar Rocks. Here's where the rotation is within this storm. We're seeing some rotation this way, and then the southerly wind ahead of this cold front moving this way. So there's the rotation that we're checking on, and then we're going to flip it to storm velocity. So notice how the couplet that we've seen over the past 15 minutes is starting to die down. That means the storm has recycled. So it's starting to lose its support. It's going to start to try to strengthen if it can, find any strength in it, and then it'll develop as it moves into parts of Washington, Pennsylvania. There are pockets of sunshine out there. That's what's fueling these storms. We do have a cap in our upper levels, which is keeping the development of those storms to build at a minimum. So that's good news in terms of development of these tornado potentials, but still strong wind speeds, straight line wind speed right around 43 miles per hour could easily tear off some siding on your house or a weak spot in your roof. We're going to dive in and check out the development here of this storm. Just overall as a whole. So let's check out the development and how strong these updrafts are for the current time being. Okay, so here's how it looks like on a development scale. So when we're trying to look at this storm and how it's developing, we can see that cap right there. Right around, let's drag this off your screen. Notice how that there's a little bit of a cap right here just below that 30,000 feet level. So that's what's really capping these storms. But still, there's a lot of low-level rotation. We call that, it's just the strong updraft there. You see that, how there's a little bit of pink in there in your screen? That's where you're noticing the hail or the strong updraft. So when we look at that, that's centered directly south of Triadelphia. So just southeast of Wheeling, and then southeast of Triadelphia. Let's jump back onto reflectivity and we'll drop that. Here's the tornado warned cell over Ohio and Marshall counties in West Virginia. Notice how we're not seeing the red and the green mix anymore, and we're starting to lose that rotation. So we're going to get ready to end coverage here over the next few minutes at the top of the hour. 4 p.m. or even sooner, we'll start to drop this tornado warned cell and this coverage for you guys across the region. Jumping back on screen here just to put a face to the voice. StormTracker7 Meteorologist Tyler Vangi. I was tracking this storm as it moved through parts of St. Clairsville. I saw some rotation, so that's why I'm here on this Sunday evening. We did see the National Weather Service put out that tornado warning as it moved through parts of Ohio and Marshall County. We started to see it lose that rotation. It did show signs of recycling, so that means it could have seen the storm start to develop once again, but the good news is it didn't actually proceed that way. It started to die down as it moved through the Ohio River, and now it's just sitting over Ohio and Marshall counties in West Virginia. It's clipping the western portion of Washington, Pennsylvania. I do expect this to move into parts of Waynesburg and Washington. May start to develop again. There are some pockets of sunshine. I'm going to jump off camera once again. We're going to check out that sunshine before I return you back to regular scheduled broadcasting, but that'll be right around 4 p.m. So that's for the producers in the back to know that right around 4 p.m. we'll try to get you guys back to regular scheduled broadcasting. If the National Weather Service drops that box in the meantime, then we will also return you back to regular scheduled broadcasting. But for the current time being, not a whole lot of rotation there. Just south of I-70, it's going to move into Washington County, Pennsylvania. StormTracker7 Meteorologist Tyler Vangi covering these storms across eastern Ohio, northern West Virginia, and southwestern Pennsylvania. Here's where we are on the map. If you guys aren't local, maybe you're in the area just traveling and you're staying at a hotel, this is exactly what we're looking at, and this is what we're concerned about. Hail potential and straight line wind speeds right around 40 to 50 miles per hour. All right, so it's going to start to move into Washington, Pennsylvania. The box will likely get dropped here in the next few minutes. That's good news. We didn't see a whole lot. If you guys did have storm damage reports, please send them to weather@wtrf.com. Just send them by email, or you can send them to weather@wtrf.com, or you can send them to wtrf.com. Just email them in, or send them on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram as well if you got any photos of the hail. Like I said, I saw some grapple just south of I-70. Let's check if we saw any hail getting picked up here over the last 15 minutes within this storm. Bear with me for 1 second. Let's jump back over. See if our radar picked up on anything as far as hail. So nothing as far as hail, but here's how it looked on reflectivity. Some rotation within the storm. Let's slow it down there so we can actually check out the rotation. Notice how it starts to hook as it moves through parts of St. Clairsville. So it really started to show signs of rotation there through parts of St. Clairsville, just south of Belmont, and then it moves through the river, dies down, loses rotation as it moves into Ohio and Marshall counties. It did have the potential right there to recycle or really form a strong updraft, but for the current time being, we're not seeing a whole lot in terms of that updraft. So that's good news. Just dealing with the straight line wind speeds and the potential for some hail. I'm going to drop the time lapse off. I'm going to check really quick with the National Weather Service and see if we have any updates coming in. Okay, they were just talking about how they put out this tornado warning cell just briefly because of the rotation, the hail. See that, that little couplet sticking back out again? That's, once again, another sign that the storm is not done. So as it's going to move into Washington County, Pennsylvania, like I was talking about earlier, you know, how it moves through the river, it starts to lose its rotation here. So watch how it moves through Belmont County, Ohio, and then it moves into Ohio and Marshall County right here. Loses its rotation just over Bel Air. But that's what we call recycling. That's where it's going to feed off the river. It's going to get some more instability in the atmosphere, some moisture from the river, and then it starts to pick up again because it's going to have this influx of warm air just starting to funnel into the region right through here. So it's going to see that, and it's going to mix together right over the river, and that's why you get that brief spin up once again as it moves closer to West Findlay, East Findlay. We're going to drop the time lapse once more, and then hopefully this doesn't continue to rotate as it moves into Washington County, Pennsylvania. If you guys are staying in parts of West Findlay, East Findlay, that is not necessarily our area of coverage, but if this box is still clipped into Ohio and Marshall counties, then we'll continue coverage there. So jumping back on camera just to put a face to it. Hey, meteorologist Tyler Vangi, I hope you guys are having a great weekend. I'm sorry we have this severe weather. I'm sorry to interrupt your favorite show, Family Feud, whatever you're watching. 4 p.m., that's when the box expires. It's a tornado warned cell. We're seeing rotation, but we're not necessarily seeing a funnel touching the ground. So don't freak out, just grab those things, get to the centermost portion of your house. If you live south of I-70, this is something I would be concerned with, especially with my family living over there in Wheeling. Like I said, I saw some graupel out there, and that's the reason I'm here on this Sunday, is continue to track this storm. So this isn't the only storm we're dealing with. I'm going to flip back to reflectivity, and I'm going to jump back on camera here so you guys can see, but this isn't the only storm we're dealing with. This activity is across the board here. Check out Barnesville for the current time being. That really caught my eye there, just flipping back. Hopefully we're not going to have to continue jumping back on and off screen here. If you guys are watching something that you're trying to watch there, I'm sorry. Once again, Washington County, Pennsylvania, that's where it's going to start to move into for the current time being. East Findlay, West Findlay are the next objectives that this tornado warning cell is going to move through, so that's where it's heading. This Barnesville, just north of Barnesville into Belmont County, Ohio, once again, strong updraft within this. Let's check it really quick for some rotation. Okay, not a whole lot of rotation, but you have to remember that our radar is all the way from Pittsburgh up here to the north of Moon. So it's starting to try to punch through all this cloud activity and this thunderstorm development. It's not going to see everything. We can always jump back and forth between Wilmington down to the southwest here and also see from that angle, but as you can tell, it's once again not picking up on everything. So there's how it looks across the region. Moving out of Ohio and Marshall counties, this is our area of coverage as it moves into Washington, Pennsylvania. Still care about these people, don't think that I don't, but it's not necessarily our area of coverage. Let's jump back and check the size of this storm's updrafts once again. So we're going to throw that box over it, and then we're going to jump back to a street level here. All right, so let's jump down and check out this storm's updrafts here. Okay, so notice how this storm has a very strong lean to it. Notice how it's leaning all the way this way. Notice how it's leaning up that way. It's really going to hinder the storm's potential to create strong updrafts or even hail as it moves into the upper levels of the atmosphere. Our freezing level is right around 13,300 feet, so that's about all the way down here. So it still is punching through that 13,000 feet, but it is not necessarily creating a whole lot of hail, and that's just due to, like I said, the shear within this cell. It's not getting those strong updrafts. So the time right now is 3:56 on your Sunday evening. We're covering parts of Ohio, Marshall, and Wetzel County. It's now moving, or sorry, I don't know why I said Wetzel. I'm trying to say Washington. My apologies. Washington County, Pennsylvania. In terms of the storms to the southwest, they're very vague looking, very broad. The only thing that's catching my eye is parts of Lancaster, north of Logan. This is the tornado warning cell that we interrupted your favorite show for, and it was for a good reason. Very strong updrafts, anvil within this storm. We're already seeing some lightning still being produced. That means the storm's not just dead just yet, but it is moving into Washington County, Pennsylvania with little to no rotation as of 3:57 p.m. on your Sunday. Thanks for joining us once again. StormTracker7 Meteorologist Tyler Vangi. There's what it looks like right now. West Findlay, East Findlay, currently sitting over top of you guys. If you have any damage, please report it to your local authorities. If you do not get a hold of them for some reason, report it to us here. Just call the newsroom, WTRF.com, search it up. You can find the newsroom. Just call us. I'll answer the phone. I'll take your damage reports and I'll send them over to your local authorities. Just give me your address and all that, and I'll help you out. But tornado warning, 4 p.m. It's moving into Washington, Pennsylvania. I do expect that it will drop after it moves into Washington, Pennsylvania as far as our counties, Washington into Marshall County, Ohio. So that's going to start to move into Washington. There's the special weather statement. So that does confirm what I was just about to say. We'll start to see special weather statements going out with this regarding still the potential for some rotation. We still need to keep an eye on it as it moves out of our region and this tornado warned cell coverage does expire. We still need to keep an eye on it because it's moving into parts of Waynesburg eventually, just to the east, but it's going to hug just to the south of I-70. So if you run into this hail out there, easily will shatter your windshield. It doesn't really take a whole lot, and that's right around pea-sized hail for the current time being. So graupel, mixing in some pea-sized hail out there, the wind, the straight line wind, that's our primary concern. We're sitting right around 43 miles per hour, but that doesn't mean, we can't see a gust up to 60 miles per hour, and that'll take your siding off or just a weak corner of your house. If you guys start to see that damage, Like I said, report it to your local authorities. If they don't answer, report it to us here at 7 News.